hosting the largest number of refugees in Africa. Honorable Speaker, we are the third world. We are number 3 in the whole world as a country hosting refugees. And currently...
Which ones are the other, the first and the second?
Pardon?
Which one is the first and the second?
Since
Uganda is the third.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, I'll give the record to honorable members. You can allow me to finish first, Honorable Speaker. Thank you. Honorable Speaker.
There is an order here.
On that note, Honorable Speaker.
There is an order.
You may allow me to finish first, then you come. Yeah, I know. He's a very friendly man.
There is an order.
Right Honourable Speaker, Uganda is a signatory to refugee conventions, and we have not yet renounced our obligations under that treaty, the refugee conventions. And the Honorable Anywa is talking about Muslim friends. I am talking about the law and the position of Uganda. We are bound under treaty law, under the concept of Pacta Santa Servanda, to host the refugees, because we have obligations under the refugee conventions. Is the honorable member in order to question Uganda's ability to host refugees, yet we have an obligation under the refugee conventions? Is he in order?
Honorable Olanya Gilbert, you've heard that Uganda is a signatory under the UN Convention on the Refugees, and Uganda is not making any mistake to have the refugees here.
Yeah.
It is the law that makes us to do it.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, I am not against Uganda hosting refugees. That is why the member overheard it. I was still bringing my point home, and he didn't know what I was going to say, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, what I would like to put forward is that when refugees are coming to a country, the minister concerned should first consult Parliament. Parliament gives its blessing, and we move on. I would like to find out, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Gilbert,
yes.
You already have a law in place. What you only need to be informed, he needs to inform us. There is a law in place which was signed by your country.
Thank you. Right, Honorable Speaker. It is true we have the law in place.
Procedure.
We really...
Procedure.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, and congratulations to members for sitting in these prestigious chambers. Right Honourable Speaker, I'm raising on a point of procedure. The Honourable Member of Nora raised pertinent issues, which, Right Honourable Speaker, you are supposed to direct to that. The member who is holding the floor should have been given the opportunity if the information was taken by the previous member. Right Honourable Speaker, before you could rule on the issue raised by the Honourable Nora, is it procedure right that the Honourable member start engaging a new topic which is contradicting, and yet the previous speaker had already made a submission? Are we proceeding rightly?
Honourable members, Gilbert is actually smuggling in his own issues. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, can we have a response to Honourable Nora's matter? come back and present next week on what was raised by Honorable Honorable Nora. Honorable Gilbert, if you have an issue, you can come on your own. Don't smuggle issues on what somebody has raised. Dorcas Achen, Honorable Dorcas Achen.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. My name is Dorcas Achen, the District Woman Representative of Leptong, and also the District Chairperson Roads Committee. I thank you for this opportunity to raise this urgent matter of national importance concerning the plight of the people of Leptong and also Lao sub-region about the dire state of roads. Aware that COVID-19 has presented a fatal wave which is affecting the lives of very many Ugandans. We know that this requires robust action with well-coordinated efforts, for example, to meet medical emergencies. But as it stands for now, we are hardly being successful in saving lives, even though we have ambulances. But when the roads are in a dire state, most of them are not functional, we are not able to work effectively within the communities. And Leptong district, together with most of the districts in Lango sub-region, are having the worst roads in the country. If I may dwell on a report from Equal Opportunities Commission, which indicated that only 12% of our roads in the sub-region are tarmacked. And as such, most of our towns are connected by Maram roads. So this is making the work on the ground very, very difficult. Right Honorable Speaker, aware that the cardinal function of UNRWA is about management, development, and also maintenance of national road networks. And the road network in these parts of the country, which I've just mentioned, they have continued to deteriorate from bad to worst without due attention from this authority. And this has caused a lot of anxiety among the communities, especially when we are missing to save pregnant mothers and also children. The medical emergencies I just mentioned. I would have the following prayers, Right Honorable Speaker.
Information.
Right Honorable Speaker, the most affected roads are from Amogu, Ebule, Omoro, which connects to the border of Otuke district, and also from Leptong Town Council via Omoro sub-county, which connects to the border of Kapelebiong. And then the worst is the Kamdini Lira Road, which is not existing anymore. What is there is not the road. The following prayers. The roads in Lango sub-region to be given due attention by UNRWA, especially that from Kamdini to Lira, which is no longer existing, and the others that I just mentioned. Can UNRWA be able to put a team to task the contractors to be able to ensure that work gets done and also get to be brought to completion? And the road sector investment plan of UNRWA and also Ministry of Transport to be able to provide us an update on the progress and the general status of the roads earmarked in the sub-region. If possible, some site meetings by UNRWA, and also to be able to have inclusion of some of the terrible roads which are aforementioned in other parts of Leptong and also Lao sub-region for development and maintenance.
Information, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Dorcas. Government Chief Whip, inform the Minister of Works, I don't see them here, UNRWA, to have a visit and a meeting with all the Lango members of Parliament, the sub-region.
Information, Madam
And give us, whom are you giving information? And give us a status of the roads in the Lango sub-region and the action that they are taking to correct or to work on the roads. Okay? And this should be reported back at the same time you're reporting for West Nile. That is in the next 2 weeks. Najumba.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and members. I'm Najuma Sarah, woman member of Parliament, Nakaske District. Honorable Speaker, Nakaske District has only 11 kilometers that are tarmacked, and they are from Semuto to Kapeka. And the road from Matuga to Kapeka was filled with maram. It had potholes, and Ministry of Works filled it with maram. Now it has started raining, all the maram is washed away, and the road is becoming impassable. Honorable Speaker, the road from Matuga to Kapeka is the shortest route to the district headquarters. So we are being cut off. And the road also from Luwero to Butalang was supposed to be tarmacked. It was approved even before I joined the Parliament. And some members were compensated on that road. But up to now, nothing is on ground. My prayer, Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Works should take interest in the road from Matuga to Kapeka and the road from Luwero to Butalang that was supposed to be tarmacked before I joined the Parliament. Can I get information from the Honorable Member?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. She has mentioned the road Matuga, but it starts with Insanji, Buloba Wakiso. I'm called Wakaima Musoke Nsereko, representing the people of Nansana. Honorable Speaker, there was a presidential directive which says that all maram roads in local governments were supposed to be well graveled, but all the union roads that are made are not graveled. So my prayer and my additional information to Honorable Najuma is that road from Nsanji to Matuga is not graveled. And all the roads, the maram roads that are in Wakiso also are not doing well. There is also another thought that the President mentioned, that all town councils, within a year, they are supposed to have done 1 kilometer of what? Tamaka roads. And in Wakiso, we have Kachiri and Namayumba. No single kilometer has ever been done. So, I'm asking, why is it so? Right Honorable Speaker.
Actually, that presidential pledge was made when Wakaima was still NRM. Can you give us your prayers? Your prayers?
My prayer is that Ministry of Work should take interest in the road from Matuga to Kapeka, and also the road from Luwero to Butalangu that was supposed to be tarmacked before I joined the Parliament.
Right Honorable Speaker, I've never been a member of NLM, so I want to collect
It's not on record.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, my prayer is that Ministry of Work should take interest in the road from Matuga to Kapeka, and the road from Luwero to Butalangu that was supposed to be tarmacked, and some people compensated before even I joined Parliament, but up to now nothing is on ground. But Honorable Speaker, Ministry of Work should stop taking people for granted. Really, a tarmacked road full of potholes, you come and fill it with maram. They should stop taking Ugandans for granted. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Government Chief Whip. Address us on the roads that are being talked by Honorable Sarah and Honorable Wakaima.
Right Honorable Speaker, the response will come when we are bringing the response for Arua, for West Nile and Lango.
Wakaima, we are addressing on your issues and you're busy giggling there.
But Right Honorable Speaker, I was excited and I think it should go on record that Honorable Wakaima has recognized President Museveni as the president of this country when he clearly talked about roads pledged by the president. I'm happy and congratulations, Honorable.
Thank you. We will have a response in the next 2 weeks and an action that should be taken on the said roads. And I am going to request the Ministry of Works, NADS, to have sub-regional meetings and get issues that are concerning roads in the whole country. We are tired of having matters coming up in the House as matters of national importance on roads, as if we don't have the ministries. Let them have meetings with sub-regional teams and see what they can do. If it means budgeting for these roads, we shall do that and report back to this House.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, Dan?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I really would want to beg that when the minister is coming to present the report, they take an extra overview of the road units for new districts, because or else members will keep coming back for the same reason. But in most of our districts, especially the new districts, the roads are impassable. You can't do anything. Now that the rains are coming, it will be terrible. And we do not have the clear position of government on what is happening in terms of acquiring the new road units. So I beg that when they are presenting on this matter, they also address the road units for new districts. Thank you very much. Right.
Thank you. And we don't want them to present the status, just the action that they are taking on these roads. It's not just a matter of saying, I've gone to this and this place, and this is what I've found out. Tell us, what have you done so far for you to be able to come back and report in the House?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. This is very welcome on our side as government, because it also helps us to open up. And I request colleagues, like the way we did it with the Busoga MPs, it will be very important all the issues are handled on the ground, and then after we do a comprehensive report as per your directive, which the Committee for Physical Infrastructure should look at, and then we see how best we can budget for this. So this is a very welcome move, and I request that in that period, maybe which can last around 3 months, Right Honourable Speaker, issues to do with roads, we ensure they are all captured under that. I just request, Right Honourable Speaker, because we are going to meet 18 sub-regions of Uganda. You can't just meet a region independently. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Let's first have the ones we directed in the next 2 weeks. Then after that, we'll give the time for the rest. Joan? Honourable Joan Namtawe.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. This is my maiden speech for record purpose. I'm Namtawe Joan, Women Representative for Masaka District. I rise on matter of public importance. Right Honourable Speaker, as you may recall, from December 2019 to April 2020, landing site of Malembo, Namirembe, Lambu, Kachanga in Masaka district were submerged by rising water level of Lake Victoria that destroyed people's properties and disrupted economic livelihood of fishing community. But Right Honourable Speaker, on 25th June 2020, this House passed a supplementary expenditure Schedule 3 and addendum to a supplementary Schedule 3 for financial year 2019-2020, in which it supplied 45 billion shillings to the Office of Prime Minister to address the impact of rising water levels and the floods in those areas by supporting them through giving them social service infrastructures, shelter, food. But Right Honourable Speaker, as I represent my concern, there is no evidence to suggest that the government came in to intervene to rescue the affected landing site as I aforementioned above. So my prayer, I request the Prime Minister to conduct a fact-finding mission to establish the extent of intervention to upright the affected residents in those landing sites. Have seen Prime Minister in Kasese. That's the same way I request the Prime Minister to get time to visit the people of Masaka, especially in those landing sites. People are suffering. They don't have food. They don't have shelter. So thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for this opportunity.
Thank you, Joan. And government.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. The Prime Minister's office will arrange and ensure that indeed we do visit the people of Masaka and link with the colleague. But Right Honourable Speaker, on the issue of nature reclaiming its space, I would love to get supplementary information from the Minister of State for Environment. Here, just a minute, so that.
Thank you, Honourable Whip. If I heard rightly, the Honourable lady from Masaka, her insistence was that money was voted by this Parliament to come to the aid of these communities. And essentially 2 financial years ago. And your response is that the Prime Minister will visit. Would you want to explain in particular terms if you are aware that this money actually was voted and that actually nothing was done to these communities?
Yeah, thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I was listening attentively and I was responding to a prayer by a honourable member. But since the leader of opposition also has his own prayer, which I would call supplementary, I heard the statement, but that wasn't the prayer she asked for. Her prayer was for the Prime Minister to visit, the way she visited Kasese, the way she visited other areas, and ascertain the situation. And the moment you do
Government Chief Whip, you should appreciate that was her maiden speech.
Yes. And
now the leader of opposition is coming up to help her.
Oh, I didn't know.
Let's solve a problem.
Thank you.
Let's not capitalize on the small things.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Right Honourable Speaker, I go to the prayer by Lop or the prayer by the Honourable? Both. Okay. The Prime Minister will address both issues. I request to submit.
Clarification.
Just like your Government Chief Whip this side, Lop is also a leader of opposition this side.
Right Honourable Speaker, clarification.
No, my concern, Right Honourable Speaker, had been as if we've not responded to a matter.
No, what you need to do, have the matter resolved with amendment.
And that's what I pledged.
With amendment from Lop.
Thank you, Rob.
Let me be clear, Right Honourable Speaker. And I would like to invite my honourable colleague to appreciate my line of argument. It's not just prayers for prayers' sake. I'm also demanding to act on a question of accountability. The honorable member, being a new member, probably did not draw that line, but was very vivid in her statement, namely, that money was voted 2 financial years ago. It's not just a matter of the Prime Minister's visit. I'm also demanding for an explanation from the Prime Minister whether actually she touched this money, or whoever was the occupant of the office touched this money, and probably in some way it never reached these landing sites. So it's a very clear and distinct matter, but being picked from her submission. So as the Prime Minister comes, we also want to have an explanation as to whether actually evidence is there that the money was voted, money was provided, and it never reached.
Right Honorable, the Office of the Prime Minister is going to ensure we follow up on that matter, and the Prime Minister will ensure, yes, the Prime Minister has an office, you know, we shall ensure that indeed we visit the sites in Masaka, and also issues of accountability will be addressed in that same vein. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Clarification, Right Honorable Speaker. When you're giving a response, you need to address yourself to the money supplied by this House and the supplementary budget, and where it was spent. If it was meant for such an activity, was it done? Was it used on the particular activity? So you address yourselves to that.
Right Honorable Speaker, my submission here goes on the Hansard, and it remains in the record. I need it first established indeed whether money was appropriated to that effect. Then once we know that, also plus the visit, we shall be able to answer clearly.
She has a record of the supplementary budget that was passed by this House. She has quoted. If I was you, I would go and verify whether it is true the supplementary was passed.
We are speaking the same language, Right Honorable Speaker.
No, for you, you're speaking in Lunyankole.
Clarification, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, clarification. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to thank the Honorable Member for Masaka, Honorable John, for raising a very pertinent issue. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the issue of rising water level in this country is what has drawn me to come and make more clarification. And Masaka last year, actually, I made an effort to go and visit some of those landing sites. And indeed, we did issue a warning to the country that due to heavy degradation of the environment, occupation of our water showers, the wetlands, the forest, climate change effect has caught up with us as a country. And indeed, as the government, we advised the population, as you see you are endangered, please move away for safety, for safety. And indeed, what the Honorable is raising, I just want to add to colleagues that the rising water level is again going to rise a little bit more than that. And it is not only Masaka which is being affected. We have really a heavy duty to let our people who are already endangered to move away. As my Chief Whip says, the intervention of government through the Office of the Prime Minister will come just to have some little intervention. But the lasting solution is that for safety purposes, I employ colleagues that where you are, the water rising levels is going to continue. We advise our people to move to safety. We advise our people to start rethinking of how we can restore our ecosystem, our natural resources as a long-term solution. And therefore, Right Honorable Speaker, I will stand with colleagues, and more of this will actually come. So I'm taking this opportunity to send that message that we advise our people to be conscious that the rising water is to continue and people should move.
Inquiry, Madam Speaker.
I beg to submit.
Inquiry, right Speaker.
Honorable Mama Mabira, you need to go and talk to these people. What you're giving us now is required by those people, not us in the House. You need to go and inform these people the waters are going to rise further so that they have an alternative plan.
Madam Speaker, inquiry.
Right, Honorable Speaker. Thank you for the advice. As a government, actually we are going to address the press, but we want to come with some address to the Parliament, starting with the Africa Climate Week, which we are going to host as a country, and then the status of the environment, which I would pray that we shall be fixed on the order paper, and actually we send out the message. These are people's representatives, and I just want to take the opportunity, right, Honorable Speaker, that also alert them. Thank you.
By
Madam
the way,
Speaker, inquiry.
Honorable Minister, we have never failed to put anything on the order paper. It is you people who are failing us not to give us what to be put on the order paper. Honorable Sasaga.
Yeah, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I present a matter of national importance concerning malicious damage of property and the killing or murdering of one Navgod Yusuf by war officials in the sub-county of the Sui last week. Madam Speaker, in 1937, Mount Elgon Forest Reserve was declared to preserve ecological processes. In 1968, it was declared a forest reserve. In 1938, it was gazetted under instrument number 76 of 1993. In 2000, the National Game Reserve was expanded its boundaries into Mount Elgon National Park. For the Gazette instrument, the boundaries were not supposed to be altered when it was a game reserve. When it was created upgraded to a game park, land from neighboring communities was taken by government to form up the national park. Unfortunately, the communities living along Mount Elgon area, especially in my constituency, in the sub-counties of the Sui, Masava, Bujitimwa, and Vumasifa, they were not compensated. Different discussions have moved on between the government and the leaders in this area. A team of technical officials were sent from the ministry, from Prime Minister's office. They had a dialogue with the communities there. And from the communication I have, which I can learn table, the matter was heavily discussed in cabinet on the 13th of January 2016. And as a directive for that matter from His Excellency the President, where in summary one says independent boundary reopening exercise be carried out as per 1993 Gazette. The second one was that communities living in those areas which got affected be resettled with the resettlement package.
Yes. Right
from Bugisu up to Sebei region. The third one, that Minister of Disaster,
Procedure matter.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My brother, Honorable Sasaga, is presenting a critical issue, but I'm asking myself whether we are proceeding well for someone to read what he's referring to as cabinet minutes, because submissions of cabinet are secret and restricted to cabinet. So, are we proceeding well?
Order,
entertain
Madam
a
Speaker.
document which is very protected
Order.
by the laws of Uganda as cabinet. If we had said maybe it was a certain communication, but if you, on record it goes as cabinet proceedings, right, Honorable Speaker?
Are they cabinet minutes, or he says it was discussed in cabinet?
What is he reading exactly? That's why I needed your guidance, right, Honorable?
I need a clarification. Are they cabinet minutes?
Madam Chair.
You're saying it was discussed in cabinet.
Madam Chair, if Government Chief Whip listened, I said very clearly that Cabinet discussed, resolved, and elected in this communication to this House, which came from the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Wakana Rugunda, on the 3rd of December 2015.
Honorable Sasaga.
Additional information,
Isaiah,
Madam Speaker.
Yes.
What are your prayers?
My prayers, one,
additional information,
that the person who was killed by war officials in the names of Yusuf Navgodi left a small family, is a 22-year-old boy who left a family which needs compensation. Number two, the crops which were slashed, apart from the pillar, where the pillar stops, they slashed 200 meters away even from the boundary, outside the gazetted area. I have photos for that effect. I beg to, I can lay on table. So they need to be compensated.
additional information.
Number
Madam.
three, my prayer number three,
Information, Madam Speaker.
that the line ministry prevails over the war officials not to continue with cutting of other crops. The last one is that they carry out an investigation over bribery claims by the residents over war officials. Because the question is, how can the crops grow? Coffee of 5 years, matoke of over 5 years has grown, the harvesting and the cutting is taking place now. Where were war officials? The communities claim that during that time, war officials go to them of planting, they take money from them, hiring them land. After hiring land, where there are small balances that are demanding, they now come and cut down the crops. Yes, information.
But you see, when you're talking about bribery, it is a two-way. You who is giving and the other who is receiving. Is there an evidence that they were forced to give? Anyway, government, can we have that issue? If there was a killing, then an action must be taken. That should be done, and you report back to this house in the next 2 weeks. John, then we go to responses from there is another person from
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And thank you for giving me the opportunity. The issue of wild animals is unleashing terror and anguish to communities around the conservation areas. Madam Speaker, I come from Kasese, and particularly I represent the people of Konzokana West, the border of the national park. Madam Speaker, we lost count of how many people we lost, or have died, or killed. And even in Kasese town, elephants are invading the town. Madam Speaker, this very parliament gave authorization in terms of budget supply to the Ministry of Tourism. And the president himself went to Konzokana West with UWA officials and directed them to provide and electric fencing around the conservation communities. Madam Speaker, I'm made to understand that the wire was procured and is seated right in a camorcha while our people continue to suffer and even losing death. They borrow loans from banks and circles, and they're losing property because the plantations are destroyed by wild animals. Madam Speaker, my clarification in the form of a prayer is that you direct OR and the Ministry of Tourism to fast track the fencing and all of those that have been affected, especially destruction of crops on a large scale and also loss of lives, should be compensated. Madam Speaker, I really want to appreciate you for Madam Speaker, our people have had enough, and I'm asking that the 11th Parliament.
By the way, Honorable,
thank you, Madam.
Item, a substantial item. A minister is going to report. I wish you could listen that it is a substantial item in the order paper on wildlife, and it was raised. The minister went down there. So when he's making his submission is when we shall ask him what has he done in terms of fencing these conservation areas.
Much obliged, Madam Speaker, and much appreciated for your attention.
I hope the minister is in today. Mama Mabira, you have information?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. And I've listened to colleagues raising this pertinent issue. Right Honourable Speaker, before the close of the previous Parliament, we presented the issue of a loan, which I actually processed. I brought it to Parliament, and it was approved towards the close of the previous Parliament. And the details, that is a loan from the World Bank, and it details what the colleague is raising. They are all part of the activities to be undertaken, and part of that loan is actually supposed to do restoration, and part of the loan is supposed actually to engage the communities around our natural resources, our parks, to benefit from that huge loan. And therefore, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, the loan was just processed. I think we have not yet put it into place, but those are the items which were clearly going to be undertaken. I beg to.
Thank you for the information. Members, I know most of you have matters of national importance, but the ones who have not spoken today will speak tomorrow. Can we have the last one, John?
Procedure, Madam Speaker.
I want to thank you,
John,
Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
Dr. Isinkoma, you're putting a procedure on what?
I'm raising the
Before I even speak,
I want to raise a procedural matter, Madam Speaker.
On what?
Madam Speaker, I'm raising under Rule 9, Sub-Rule 4 of our Rules of Procedure to question why Honorable Semuju Nganda and Honorable Nkonyingi are seated in an area which you, Madam Speaker, have reserved for us members of independents. And as a result of that, Madam Speaker, I'm confined up here where I don't belong. So I don't know whether it is a procedural right for Honorable Nkonyingi and his friend to be seated there where they are. Right, Honorable Speaker.
I get surprised when a honorable member of parliament was just this time which somebody should have used to raise a national issue. Okay, it is free sitting. Free sitting. John?
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Most obliged, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. I too raise on a matter of national importance and a natural one, a looming disaster, which can happen anytime. Madam Speaker, my colleague Honorable Sasaga spoke about environment and the killings around the Mount Elgon National Park. It is serial. It has been happening for the last 10 years. But today I raise over the issue of cracks which are a looming danger to our people. We already have seen this. Since 2006, Madam Speaker, Mount Elgon suffered a serious earthquake, which repeated also in 2014. Madam Speaker, the soils around the mountain cracked over. In my own constituency, in the Bumbo Town Council where I live, and in the neighboring ward, Madam Speaker, in the Bibare ward, the cracks are gaping for everybody to see. I've taken their journalists to see. I've carried the photos of these cracks. In my constituency again and district, there is a 40-kilometer stretch of a crack from Bumbo through Bupoto through up to the town councils up in Rua. While this country suffers many other disasters, especially natural, my prayer and plea with the ministries responsible, and the more so, disaster ministry, our guidance in the former fora way that we establish evacuation camps. Madam Speaker, you have yourself seen, whenever we have these landslides and mudslides in Bugisu, that's when OPM and other ministries rush there when already people are dead. Why can't we establish especially that landslides come with a warning of cracks and others, Madam Speaker? I want also to inform the House that cracks, once done and seen, they may take 1 year, 6 months, or so. And you will see either a mudslide or a landslide. But usually they happen between the months of May. We are responsible ministries. I wish, Madam Speaker, this is my maiden presentation, Madam Speaker. You invoke Rule 831E that I speak up to the issue so that they ascertain for themselves what I'm speaking, Madam Speaker.
Just a minute, members. When you ask for information, if the member does not give you, you don't force a member. It is at the discretion of the person speaking to give you space. If he doesn't give you, don't insist. It's not your right. John.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the wonderful protection. Otherwise, having been my maiden presentation, my maiden presentation, I've said, not speech. Yes, I may have spoken, but this is my maiden presentation. So like I said, Madam Speaker, I want to end with prayer that we establish evacuation camps where we see these cracks.
Yes.
Secondly, that the ministries concerned, the OPM, disaster and others, the geologists, the seismologists and others, visit Bugisu, sit with us and we plan together. I want to plead with you to reign over them. Thank you so much, Madam.
Government, take note. The other thing I need to remind you, if you want to give information, you want an order, you don't switch on the microphone and speak on the microphone. It's not until you've been given permission that you can switch on. Those are some of the things you'll be told when you're doing orientation. Next item.
Item number 3, statements by ministers. Number 3.1, on the detention by the Uganda police of a returning member of Uganda's contingent to the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, Mr. Julius Sechitoleko, following his deportation from Japan.
Madam Ekirali. It's not loud. Please.
Item 3.1, statement on the detention of the Uganda police of a returning member of Uganda's contingent to the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, Mr. Julius Sekitoriko, following his deportation from Japan.
Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, colleague honorable members, I'm here to present a report about the Olympics. Mr. Julius Sekitoriko, following his disappearance and subsequent deportation from Japan. Right Honorable Speaker, this is in a way an anticlimax of what we were celebrating yesterday through the motion to pay tribute to our sportsmen and women for their sterling performance at the Olympics. The subject of Sekitoriko Julius is very intimately related to what we discussed in yesterday's motion and how to reorganize, recognize and reward sportsmen and women in this country. Right Honorable Speaker, Julius Sekitoriko started participating in weightlifting events since 2007. I'm providing the background from Kisugu in Kampala. He joined the national team in 2018 and competed in a number of local and international competitions where he won medals. He was selected by the Uganda Olympic Committee and included on the list of athletes to travel for the Olympic Games in Tokyo, Japan, with the approval of the International Weightlifting Federation. The International Weightlifting Federation uses the weighting system for qualifying athletes, and the points keep on changing depending on the traveling. Julius Sekitoriko was on the verge of qualifying because his points were good. Sekitoriko left Uganda for Japan together with his coach, Hakim Musoke, on the 8th June 2021, in the first team, which was led by Mr. Semakula Katende of National Council of Sports. They were accommodated in Izumisana City in Japan, where a pre-qualification training camp had been set up under a memorandum of understanding signed between the government of Uganda and Japan in 2018 and confirmed on 17th June 2021, in which the Uganda Olympic Committee was to select athletes for pre-qualification, and those who had a chance to qualify. Julius Sekitoriko went in the category of athletes who had a chance to qualify. Right Honorable Speaker, the participation of Sekitoriko in the Olympic Games depended on confirmation which was to come from the International Weightlifting Federation. On the 17th June 2021, the team leader, Mr. Semakula Katende, informed Julius Sekitoriko that he had failed to qualify for participation in the Olympic Games and handed over to him a return ticket. Julius Sekitoriko was devastated by this development and decided to escape from the camp to look for odd jobs in Japan instead of returning to Uganda, where he had a lot of debts. He disappeared by boarding a train out of Izumisano City. His disappearance was reported to the Japanese authorities, and immediately a search for him was mounted by the Japanese police. On realizing that the police was looking for him, he handed himself in, and the Japanese police in turn handed him over to the Ugandan team management, who immediately arranged for his return to Uganda. On the 23rd of July 2021, he landed at the Entebbe airport and was arrested and taken to CID headquarters for questioning. And therein lies the concern of the Honourable Member of Parliament who raised the issue. So the objectives of taking him in were to investigate the circumstances surrounding the disappearance of Secretary Julius, to interview witnesses and obtain their statements, to establish whether his disappearance is known to our law, to gather enough evidence to prosecute the suspect if justified and charge him in court. And investigations commenced. 4 witnesses were interviewed and their statements recorded, notably Mr. Jonathan Wankolo, Liaison Officer, Uganda Olympic Committee, Mr. Dominic Otuchet, President, Uganda Athletes Association, Ms. Lydia Gloria Damzungu, Assistant Secretary General, Uganda Olympic Committee, Reverend Canon Duncan Mugumya, Commissioner of Physical Education and Sports Minister of Education, and copies of these documents were obtained and attached to his case file. His opinion was that the suspect had not committed any offense known to the laws of Uganda. The DPP instead recommended for a disciplinary action against Sechitoreko outside the courts of law. The DPP accordingly ordered that Sechitoreko be released unconditionally. On the 20th July 2021, indeed Julius Sechitoreko was released. In conclusion, Sechitoreko's act of disappearing from the hotel where he had been accommodated during the time of the games in a foreign country like Japan under the excuse that he was looking for a job did not only create panic among the Ugandan officials but also portrayed a very bad image of our country. Pre-qualification for international features should desirably, this is a rider, be done at home in Uganda and not abroad in order to avoid unnecessary expenses on sportsmen or women who may not qualify, and also such temptations of absconding by vulnerable sportsmen and women because of domestic pressures. Last, as already amplified in unison by this Honourable House yesterday through the motion and attendant resolution to recognize the achievements of our team at the Olympics, reasonably rewarding and incentivizing sportsmen and women through the various proposals made in that motion, and we reinforce and inculcate the idea of East or West, home is best and more attractive in the minds of these sportsmen and women. This in training activities. I beg to submit, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Clarification.
We are debating this under Rule 52(2), and the debate is open now. Yes.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Let me appreciate the Minister for the statement. But, Madam Speaker, it is very crystal clear in his statement that Julius Sechitoreko, according to the opinion of the Director of Public Prosecutions, was found to have committed no offense under the laws of Uganda. For that reason, therefore, Madam Speaker, the younger man, Julius Sechitoreko, must be compensated by this government. Having been subjected to that humiliation, man, even in your on the first page, page number 1, in the background, you vividly and unequivocally state that Julius Sechitoreko in 2018, participated, competed internationally and locally, and won medals for Uganda. Even yesterday, indeed, we were celebrating the medals that were won by our stars. So sectorial then was very good and a star. And actually, yes, still a good one. But when it came to the time when he had been frustrated by being disqualified to participate in the Olympics, and even immediately handed a ticket to return, sectorial to any right-thinking person required psychosocial support at that time. If he had debt, even America has debt. It's a superpower country, but I understand even it is owing China lots of trillions of money. Even Uganda is heavily indebted as a country. So the frustration that he suffered, and then eventually at the airport on handcuffs, and then is found with no government must definitely compensate Julia's sectorial. And lastly, Madam Speaker, I don't know where this government concentrates its focus as far as sports are concerned. Are we as a government only going to focus on celebrating and jubilating medals that are won? Or the focus should shift like those other countries that are shining more than us? Nurturing and developing the talent that is in this athletics of ours. And that only can inspire others to do better for this country. I beg to submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Has his own rights. If he wants to get compensation, he can either go to human rights or go to court for that.
Madam Speaker.
I am just giving you a free advice, pro bono.
But for information, Madam Speaker.
We as this House cannot make that resolution.
Arrangements are already in advanced stages for sectorial court to seek redress in the courts of judicature over this.
No problem. I was giving you a free legal advice because I know you're a teacher. Honorable Solo, Honorable Jara.
Right Honorable Speaker, I thank you for this opportunity. I'm Geoffrey Kayemba Solo, the Shadow Minister for Sports. I'd like to thank the Honorable Minister to get his time at least to answer Sechitoleko's issue. I personally was there when Sechitoleko was brought here. I met him at Ginger Road Police. I want to make some clarification, Honorable Minister. The pre-qualification camp wasn't there in Japan at all. We have to investigate more. Why was Sechitoleko taken? Yeah, they knew he was not going to participate. There must be another issue, maybe financial from the officials, when they wanted something and they used Sechitoleko as a backup. Secondly, as we have heard that Sechitoleko has a lot of debts here, I want to request the necessary authorities to at least help Sechitoleko, since he's the national champion, to get something in order to motivate other sports personalities. Madam Speaker, another issue. I request all people with such an idea to drop it immediately. Nambole is a sports facility, not a refugee camp. Take the refugees to Wundibujo and other camps. Leave Nambole, the only stadium the government of Uganda has, and we have World Cup qualifications in September. Where are we going to play? Will we be playing when the beautiful Afghanistans are jumping? I think that won't be possible. Thank you very much, Madam.
Honorable Solo, that is speculation. Nambole is under renovation. We have games. So if it is true, then government will come up with a statement to that effect. But since we have games that are coming.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Let me thank the Honorable Minister for providing this very useful information through his report. But picking from his own report, Madam Speaker, it is clear that this gentleman has participated in several activities, and he cited that in 2018 he competed and brought medals to this country. It is also clear that in the previous activities, he did not show any sign of disappearing. Partly because I think the ministry has not developed a clear system or ways of supporting the people who go to compete. And so when people go to compete, their mind is tuned to competing and winning, so that when they return, they are able to get some reward. I think it's important that we begin to design strategies where, first of all, we know how to help our players manage their expectations. Secondly, when they fail to succeed, there should also be mechanisms in trying to manage frustrations and dealing with stress. Thirdly, it's equally important that we look at creating an opportunity for every player, whether you get a medal or you have not got anything. I think it's important that people who go to represent the country have an opportunity to be recognized, but also support.
Honorable Santa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to get a bit of clarification from the minister who made the presentation here about Julius Sechitoliko. My son, Robert Okot, who is now in the US, used to play rugby, but at the junior level, not at the national level. The captain for rugby is my elder sister's son, Walkers. Many times, these young people have been telling me, each time they go out to play in the different countries, they go and come back less number, meaning very many of them run away to live in those countries, in Germany, in Europe, and different areas. Today, Sechitoliko did that. Sechitoliko did that, and the DPP has advised that he has not broken any law. I felt that next time we shall have maybe a football team go out to play in a different country, and supposing all of them run away, what I know of about 6 young people who went to play outside and disappeared, looking for a job, looking for survival. What are we going to do as a country to prevent this occurrence to continue happening? This is my question to the minister. Possibly the Minister of Sports should take it up and make sure that we find a way not to allow our young people disappear when they go out to play. Otherwise, this is going to be in a record. They have already heard that Sechitoliko broke no law, and therefore the rest also will fly off. Thank you.
I was still the minister in charge of sports. I signed a memorandum with the government of Japan for our team to stay there for more than a month, being looked after in 2 cities. So to me, after the team had gone and Sechitoliko disappearing in a few days wouldn't be an issue, because it was still being covered by the memorandum of understanding we had signed, unlike the previous arrangements. And I think when the minister says he was released and there was no law binding to charge him, I salute you for that. Now, answering the issue my sister has raised, of course it is indiscipline for the team to go out and they disappear. But usually we wait until the date, the last date of the games. Whoever now stays behind commits a crime. But within the period, you cannot tell that somebody has disappeared. Mark you, the prearrangement Before the games, such Toreko, I think, was now putting on more weights. You never know, it could be because of the eating. So that means he was now not going to participate. And psychologically, because they told him in advance and arranged a return ticket, it affected him. They would have left him to remain in the village until the last day. That was the crime that was committed by the arrangement from there. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Baka. Honorable Dan, Sarah, the two Sarahs.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker and members, I want first of all thank the Minister for the statement. Gives a postmortem of this problem. And the diagnosis clearly comes out that the man was financially stressed. Could have been one of the reasons as to why he opted to disappear. Right Honourable Speaker, when this guarantee young men and women represent Uganda outside of the country and win medals and raise our flag, we all celebrate them, and they do PR for this country. PR is one of the most expensive things to pay for. In trillions, you will see governments paying trillions in trying to govern. Right Honourable Speaker, I would beg that instead of continuing with the postmortem, because if it's about financial pressure, you can be sure that next year or the other year, another one will disappear.
Honorable Dan, it is not financial pressure per se. If you look at the minister's statement 1.3, this is where he said he had failed to qualify for participation in the Olympics Games and handed over to him a return ticket. Now, because he felt devastated. That's why I have not seen anything on financial pressures there. Well, he expected to get the money, but he failed to qualify.
Much obliged, Right Honourable Speaker, but someone made a statement that effect. But, Right Honourable Speaker, I would beg that as a government and as a country, we put emphasis on supporting the sports sector. And this would give hope to our sportsmen. It would win us more medals, it would do us more PR, and it would take Uganda to another level in terms of international recognition. Instead of continuing to welcome in glory those who win medals, and of course receiving the statutory cause on handcuffs for the shortcomings for the challenges they meet in their career. Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. My name is Sarah Kayagi Netalisire, MP in Namisindwa District. Right Honourable Speaker, it's so unfortunate what happened to Sech Tereko. As a sports person myself, when you prepare yourself to compete, Right Honourable Speaker, I know why the members in the House are laughing, but I think it's because of my size that the members can't believe that I'm a sports person myself. But in this parliament, I have won the trophy of the best shooter in netball. 3 consecutive years. Actually, I think there are 4 consecutive years as the best shooter in the interparliamentary games. And they have laid those trophies on that table because of my shooting. So I am actually waiting for the training to begin so that I can represent this parliament again. Right Honourable Speaker, back to the debate. I feel sorry for Sech Tereko. When you prepare yourself to compete, you psychologically set your mind that 1, I am going to represent my country, But also, two, you as a person, as a sports person, you've prepared yourself. Either you're going to benefit financially, but also when you win and carry that medal, there is that satisfaction that you get as a sports person. Unfortunately, Sechtoreko didn't get this opportunity. And I know because of that, it might have put him off. Psychologically, he was tortured. And he was handed the air ticket to come back. My only challenge is, as government, we didn't support this young man when he came back. The arrest, the way he was handled after coming back, left a lot to be desired. I feel that our sports people need a lot of our support. Right, Honorable Speaker, when you listen to people who got to represent this country in sports out there, it's not only Sechtoreko. Look at the She Cranes. When they are participating, you will hear reports coming back. Either their leaders have disappeared, the money promised has not been given to them, they are not going to participate unless they are talked to. So you see that there is a lot of confusion even in the camps where they go. Even football, Cranes, the last games that we participated in, the international games, you saw what happened in the camp. So I think, Right Honorable Speaker, as a country, we need to invest more in sports. And we need to tap in this sector. Uganda has potential. It has it has many sports women and men who can sell us out there and come out with very many medals, not only 2 or 3. But the only thing we need to do is to invest in sports and then put our hearts to it, and we shall yield the results. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you.
Honorable Sarah.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I closely followed that young man's issue, and it was quite disappointing, the kind of energy that my government put in, first of all, looking for that young man to ensure that they brought him back. I listened to this young man when he was on NTV and on some talk show, and he actually said, I had not disappeared, but I had my visa that still allowed me to stay in Japan. And of course, I have been in the country trying to make ends meet, and I wanted to make contact. So, Right Honorable Speaker, it beats my understanding that these young men, and women, by the way, because there is another lady who is actually a boxer in Katanga. I have met her. She has been trying to seek for support. She has won medals too, but she has never got the opportunity. And I even watched her on CNN, appearing on CNN and work as one of the boxers. So, Right Honorable Speaker, this young man had even sold his motorcycle so that he could have some little money to make him make some contacts and then maybe eventually find employment. And one of his biggest issues that he raised is that he has tried to make ends meet through sports. And he has won medals. He even showed the medals that he has won. He has never received recognition. He even mentioned that when he received some little money in one of the, I think when he won an award, the little money that he got was actually taken by those who promoted him and even transported him. So he ended up with nothing. And it was so sad that while this man was being looked for, and all the media houses were talking about Sechtoreko, the wife had been evicted. Pregnant wife had been evicted from the rental where they were staying. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to request the Minister of Education and Sports This young man has already suffered. Going through that process was torture, because when he returned, the mother is also living in just a one-roomed house somewhere, I think in Chivuli. That's where he had to go. I want to thank Mama Fina, who went and gave him 2 million shillings as startup. I want to request the Minister of Education. It's not enough for us to receive this statement. I want to request government, please look into this young man's issue, give him some little startup. After all, we are seeing people getting millions of shillings. Sage Toleko should not travel to Gulu to also get money. But Sage Toleko should be given some startup so that he can find his way. And he has just completed, I think, P7. At a very old age, he said he started school because his mother, he has just completed, yes, I think P7. And he was already an old man when he did primary 7. I'm sure he wants to continue with education. Government could even take him up and educate him so that we support him and he builds on his talent and wins us more medals. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
I have always asked, before we say government should take it up, what have you done as Parliament? What have you done as Parliament? Yesterday, I was dragged into Kamoga. I can ably tell you I fulfilled the pledge today. I were together with the Kamoga. So all those people who are concerned about whatever is happening, as we wait for government, what are we doing as parliamentarians? What are you doing, Sarah, as a mother to a woman who has been thrown out of a house?
Madam Speaker, I am going to lead a fundraiser. I cannot handle this alone because I'm supporting other people with similar problems. I am going to lead a small fundraising here, even if it is 50,000 from each member of parliament, so that we support Sage Toleko to start up his life. So I hope members will support me when I bring this paper.
For record
Thank you,
purpose,
Right Honorable
I've
Speaker.
seconded.
Dr. Byakatonda. Dr. Byakatonda. Yona Kayogera.
Thank you very much.
Not you. There is a Yona on Zoom.
It's not ready. I can stand in for him.
If the Zoom has failed, then Honorable Basalira.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, on behalf of the Parliamentary Sports Club, we want to thank you for fulfilling your pledge. I met Mr. Kamoga today, and he did confirm that he received the 10 million shillings that you pledged. I was actually with Honorable and Sewanyana, and he was very happy with the Speaker for your magnanimity and equanimity. Right Honourable Speaker, regarding the statement by the Minister for Internal Affairs, Right Honourable Speaker, we want to request the Minister to advise police to stop arresting people, without evidence. The idea of arresting people and detaining them and releasing them without evidence undermines our criminal justice system. And it's a culture that is taking shape. I remember raising it with the President when we were in iPod. You arrest people, right, Honorable Speaker, if you went to any police station around, you are going to find people languishing in police cells for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I have had the privilege of being a political detainee in most of these facilities. You keep people there, there are no charges against them, and at the end of it all, you release them. Right, Honorable Speaker, this is not very good. I am glad that now the Ministry of Internal Affairs has 2 generals. I hope you are going to use your experience. Over and above that, this particular person we are talking about, Sekitoreko, you even denied him access to his lawyers. And Honorable Kayemba Solo is here. You kept him beyond the 48 hours. Why should you treat a person of that importance like a hardcore criminal? So I really think that going forward, the issue of respect for fundamental rights of Ugandans must be taken with the seriousness it deserves. There was absolutely no reason for you to arrest a person, then begin looking for charges. Which kind of system is this? If you don't have any charge, and already he was in Uganda, if you really wanted him, you would have allowed him to go home and then issue summons. He would have come to police. But you arrest, you embarrass, you violate rights, and then you release. That kind of conduct by police deserves an apology. We would have expected the minister to use the platform to apologize to Mr. Secretary and his family. Right, Honorable Speaker, you have guided that perhaps this person should seek legal redress. And the opposition chief whip has said they are already court proceedings. We should not be even going that way.
Then if there are court proceedings, why are we discussing this?
No, this is the information we seem to be getting.
It is sub judice.
But I think, Right Honorable Speaker, the point I want to raise with regard to that issue is that government should not even wait to be taken to court over a simple matter. Just swallow your pride, call the young man, apologize to him, and don't wait to be embarrassed in court. Because what are you going to tell court? The man's rights were violated. DPP has said there was no case against him. Why do you allow the matter to reach that stage? Just apologize and have some compensation for the young man. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, can you respond to what has been raised?
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, members of Parliament, I've heard your concerns and they are well taken, and I want to propose to the House, Right Honorable Speaker, that rather than deal with individuals, we address this matter of the welfare of sportsmen in a comprehensive way, like we resolved yesterday. Regarding the issue of raised by the Honorable Basa Alirwa, I'm also advised that the matter is sub judice through the submission of Honorable Andeshe. So I'm not at liberty to...
I have not yet given you the
mic. For clarity to the Honorable Minister, the matter of seeking redress is still in infant stages. It has not yet reached court.
So since it's a possibility, Right Honorable Speaker, I would rather I consult with the colleague Attorney General and we see how to discuss with the other side and proceed. I beg to submit. Yeah.
Honorable members, Honorable Minister, thank you for your statement. It is so disturbing that the sportsmen and ladies who are taken out of the country without confirming the qualification, whether somebody qualifies to participate or not, end up suffering or end up remaining outside there. And of course, when somebody tells you that you don't qualify, you get tempted to look for somewhere to go. So it is also upon the Minister of Sports, the State Minister of Sports, to make sure that whoever lives in this country qualifies for a particular sporting activity. It's not just a matter of taking people. I also know some sporting persons who just take people because they want to go for cheo. So we must have a statement from the Minister of State for Sports on how they determine the qualification of these persons who go out. And then two, government should also, Minister of Internal Affairs, you don't just rush. You need to confirm from these kids, from these young people, what problem they have. Now we have a myoga. If the young man has a problem of money, you can be able to put him on a myoga program. So it is you people, it's upon you now to talk to these young people to find out what problems they have, other than just arresting and keeping them there for some time. And it doesn't look good for our country. It doesn't look good at all. So we expect a report from Minister of Sports on 24th on the selection and qualification criteria employed on international sports. The Minister of Sports should give us the criteria they use, not just taking people anyhow. Next.
Item 3.2, statement on compensation of victims of the Lord's Resistance Army LRA insurgents in various parts of the country.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, my presentation is on the status or an update on the status of the compensation of victims of the LRA insurgency in various parts of the country.
Procedure.
Madam Speaker, I still remember that when this statement was presented on the floor of Parliament, Madam Speaker, I wanted you to listen to this. Maybe I wait until Honorable. Madam Speaker, I still remember very well that when this similar statement was presented on the floor of Parliament, you directed the Attorney General to make sure that he should come back with a comprehensive statement on the floor of our House. And he also directed that they should have meetings with the regional members of Parliament to address the concern per region. Madam Speaker, I'm wondering whether the other regions were consulted. But from our sub-region, as actually members of Parliament, we were not consulted, and I don't know how they have come with a comprehensive statement when we were not consulted this issue. Are we proceeding well, Madam Speaker?
Honorable Member, maybe we need to first wait and hear what Attorney General has. If he had a meeting with the members, what criteria he used to get his information, then we will query what he's saying.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. The statement I'm presenting is a status update. A status update of what we have done so far and what we intend to do. It is not a conclusive statement of the exercise per se. So I'm begging that you listen to me. I'm updating Parliament. because they appropriate money for this exercise. The scope and steps taken.
But much as we are going to receive your status update, you should also need to take instructions as they are given. We are going to receive the status update, fine, but we asked your office to have sub-regional meetings. I am one of the beneficiaries of compensation. Did I attend your meeting?
Right Honorable, I have something to say to that effect.
Okay.
Most obliged. The scope and steps taken in the verification exercise are as follows. The Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs is currently conducting verification of livestock compensation claims in areas affected by the insurgency and districts which are presently in advanced stages of assessment in Acholi, Lango, and Teso sub-regions. They are listed as follows. In Acholi sub-region, we are in Agago, Amuru, Guru, Kitgum, Lamuo, Nuoya, Omoro, and Pader. In Lango sub-region, Alebtong, Amolata, Apach, Dokolo, Kole, Kwania, Lira, Oyam, and Otuke. In Teso sub-region, Amuria, Bukedea, Kaberamaido, Kaperebiong, Katakwi, Kumi, Ngora, Serere, Palisa, Butebo, Kalaki, and Soroti districts. The next stage of the exercise shall incorporate districts affected by the insurgency comprising of Karamoja sub-region, West Nile sub-region, Sebei sub-region, Bukedi, Budaka, Busia, how do you pronounce it? Budaka, Busia, and Tororo districts, and the sub-region of Busoga. The specific focus of the verification exercise is claims for livestock compensation. The rationale for focusing on livestock compensation is that the traditional economies of the affected sub-regions was livestock. The traditional economy for the affected sub-region was based on livestock mainly. Therefore, the loss of livestock during the insurgency severely impacted and affected the community's livelihood. As earlier indicated, compensation of the areas affected by the insurgency was cited in line with the priority areas specified by HE the President for the budget of financial year 2021-2022 as clearly indicated in the second budget call circular of the finalization of detailed budget estimates, paragraph 10, Roman numeral 10, dated 15th of February 2021. Additionally, the litigation by claimants and beneficiaries in the high courts of Gulu, Lira, Soroti, Arua, and Mbale, and other claims focus on livestock compensation. In conclusion, the verification exercise in areas which are in advanced stages, i.e., Acholi sub-region with 16,946 claims, Lango sub-region with 42,042 claims, and Teso sub-region with 33,664 claims, totaling to 92,652 claims. The Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs in the financial year 2020-2021 procured materials, that is data cards, to complete the final registration of the genuine claimants and beneficiaries at sub-county and district level based on biodata including national identity cards and letters of administration for estates of the deceased claimants. The exercise, which shall be transparently implemented in conjunction with the district leaders and the district officials, together with a committee of 20 elders, religious leaders, representatives, and other stakeholders from each of the affected communities, shall eliminate all fraudulent claims. Right Honourable Speaker, we have tested this in the Acholi sub-region. We have a committee, we want to have a committee of 20 people, but the committee we have now is of 9 people. It's led by a retired judge of the Supreme Court, Justice Galdino Kello, and we are working well so far with them. Already in Acholi sub-region, the interministerial verification working alongside the committee of elders, religious leaders, representatives, and other stakeholders commenced the exercise of sensitizing claimants. The claimants, beneficiaries, and stakeholders at sub-county level with the purpose of ensuring that only genuine claims are successful. The exercise is ongoing, Right Honourable. A similar exercise shall be implemented in Lango sub-region, Teso sub-region, and other affected areas including Karamoja, West Nile, Sebei, Budaka, Busia, Tororo districts, and Busoga, Iganga, Luka. For Busoga, that is Iganga and Luka districts. The Interministerial Verification Committee, which is implementing the exercise, it is due to deploy in Acholi, Lango, and Teso sub-regions before the end of this month. The Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs intends to conclude the entire livestock verification exercise in financial year 2020-2022, and accordingly settle all livestock compensation claims and cases. A concern arose during the implementation of the display of names of claimants and beneficiaries in December 2020 and January 2021 that the livestock compensations, the rates were different across the sub-regions, with a bull valued at 600,000 in Acholi sub-region, while the same bull is valued at 900,000 in Lango and 1 million in Teso sub-region. As a ministry, we intend to use one rate that cuts across. So it was resolved that the livestock compensation rate would be a harmonized rate across the sub-regions. A report with a final assessment shall be duly submitted to Cabinet and Parliament for due consideration. Right Honourable Speaker, you've talked about the meetings. We are operating, besides the ministry, the exercise being led by the ministry, we are operating with an interministerial committee for ministers in the sub-region. We have prepared a cabinet memo, but we are also due to agree on how to engage with the leaders and MPs from the sub-regions. So that interministerial committee is chaired by Honorable Grace Kuichinyi, the Minister for Northern Affairs. So we shall report back soon because we are going to sit and make a timetable on how to engage with the other people. So this is to clarify on matters raised due to earlier. Yes, my senior colleague, Honorable Bichu Sanyuar, is a member of that committee. So this report is intended to clarify on matters that were brought to Parliament in regard to this exercise. I beg to submit.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I open the debate.
Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mine is a brief one. I take issue with the Honorable Minister's repeated omission of Bugisu sub-region among the beneficiaries. Even the other time, multiple times actually, you have deliberately omitted the Bugisu sub-region. Bugisu sub-region, Madam Speaker, as you will appreciate, is sandwiched between Sebei, Teso, and Bukedi, and has always been among those that were earmarked for livestock compensation. I don't know why the minister has deliberately marginalized or rather left out Bugisu sub-region, Madam Speaker. Most importantly, Madam Speaker, I would like to go on record and inform the minister that if you are talking about the Lord's resistance insurgents, the chief strategist, the one Matanga Nyekorach, the chief strategist of Konyi, hails from my constituency in Manjia, in Bududa, in the Bugisu sub-region, for your information. And Lakwena, as the Honorable, your colleague who is a member of that interministerial committee, the Honorable Anywa will inform you ably. Lakwena spent the night in Mbale. And so if you are talking about the spillage of these insurgents, you cannot leave out Bugisu sub-region, Honorable Minister. Thank you very
Honorable
much.
Minister, there was an issue on Bugisu and Sebei that was raised by Honorable Chemonges William. So I think you need to handle that issue too in your next okay.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I do remember clearly how Chemonges William raised that issue. I will consult with my technical team, and for purposes of allaying my senior colleagues' fears, I have nothing personal against Bugisu. I will consult with the technical team because this is also informed by investigation of what actually happened, and these are government records that we are following. So once those records point us to the right direction, then Bugisu will be brought on board.
Honorable Atkins.
Information.
Honorable Atkins.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'm glad that government is paying attention to the citizens. Madam Speaker, in 1996, Kasese had its fair share. It was invaded from DRC by the ADF. And this is national knowledge. Madam Speaker, Kasese municipality was set on fire, and the business community lost part of their residential and commercial houses. Cars and vehicles were burned. They went, Madam Speaker, to St. John's. A tractor that belonged to the school was set on fire. Some students abducted, and some families around the school grossly lost livestock. They went to Mpori Town, the ADF, literally displacing the entire community, taking all the livestock. And Madam Speaker, when they went to Kitoru sub-county in Ukonzo County West, they murdered in cold blood 9, actually 10 else ones. Madam Speaker, for one crime that they were serving the NRM government. Madam Speaker, about many decades down the road, no single compensation has been paid by government to these families and affected communities. Madam Speaker, it's my humble plea that even where the minister comes from, Kitwamba, the school, the technical school was affected. It's my humble plea, Madam Speaker, that this Parliament, the 11th Parliament, puts into consideration to rope in all of those communities, especially in the Rwenzori region, to be on the slot of those to be compensated, so that we save Parliament and government time. We'll never come back here to discuss a matter that would have been incorporated and co-opted into this particular subject. Madam Speaker, I want to appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Minister.
Madam Speaker, I appreciate that you allow me answer as they ask.
You see, it's good for you people to get response as when you ask. When you pile the questions, they will only answer one question, and you will have not benefited out of it. Why the hurry?
Madam
I have chosen that for today as a speaker, a presiding officer. Okay?
Madam Speaker, I appreciate my colleagues' concern. Madam Speaker, the compensation exercise that I am handling was started around 2011. That's when government pledged to start the compensation. But it arose from court cases that had been filed as far back as 2004 and 2005. Now, I inherited this and I'm carrying it forward. I would appreciate if Kichwamba, Kasese claims are brought on board. I may not be in a position to originate it myself, but since you have made your concerns heard and Parliament has taken note of them, maybe I'll be given the necessary direction. But my fear is every time we bring up something new, we shall be pulled back as far as the northern compensation exercise is concerned, because we have taken some steps. The last time I went into the field, they said, you promised us in 2011, you did not pay. In 2016, you did not pay. Now you are coming, 2021. So if now I say I go back to the drawing board, we start adding the other and the other and the other, we might be caught up by time. My humble request would be Parliament working together with the executive. We can segment these things and work on them concurrently. But let this exercise that has already taken some steps proceed as we bring the rest on board. I'm equally an interested party because I know people who died in Kichwamba. I have been approached by leaders from Toro Rwenzori sub-region about the ADF issue. And I tell them that I cannot right now combine the two, because here we are dealing with livestock, and I would want this to be originated so that we do it concurrently. Most obliged.
What we also need to appreciate, there were court cases to the effect. And those court cases, there was one from the Acholi region, there was from Lango, there was from Teso, and that's what we should even be asking first, that how far have you gone with the issues of the court cases, paying of those people. And that's why the other time we're asking on how far you had gone on verification, especially on the people who won the cases.
Right, Honourable Speaker, on the specifically,
Catherine, I'll come to you.
Specifically on the issue of court cases, I must say we are held back by the claims of the lawyers. In one of the cases, the lawyer's claim is 53 billion. In another, it is 40-something.
As
in
legal
another,
fees?
I beg your pardon?
As legal fees?
Yes, as legal fees. And we are saying, if we are going to pay, if recently, you remember in the past, government had pledged 10 billion per sub-region. We attempted to bring a supplementary to get 30 billion to cover the 3 sub-regions of Acholi, Lango, and Teso. And that supplementary was shot down because the other sub-regions were not fully verified. During campaigns, the president pledged that he will put 50 billion in the sub-regions. Now, how do we pay 53 billion to an individual lawyer when the region alone is getting 50 billion. It is not practicable, and as we speak, we have taken steps as the Attorney General's chambers to liaise with these lawyers to see how far back they are willing to adjust, or if necessary, we go to court and do a proper taxation. But the 50 billion as pledged by government will be given. And in this budget for this financial year, they started with 50 billion, and I think they would be willing to give us more if they see what we are doing on the ground.
Okay. We are going,
Procedure,
the
Madam
issue
Speaker.
is a concern of Achol
Procedure.
sub-region, Teso sub-region, Lango sub-region, not so? Sorry, somebody has talked. Western Nile. I am giving one person from the sub-region. Honorable Call, you will come with the procedure, Catherine, don't worry. Honorable Call is speaking for Acholi.
Madam Speaker, I am actually shocked to hear the statement coming from the Deputy Attorney General today, especially when he's telling me that the money was not appropriated for payment of the people from Acholi sub-region. I met the Deputy Attorney General in Gulu, in Centenary Bank, and he told me it was 2 weeks to the time of voting. He told me that particular week, people were going to get paid in their accounts. Madam Speaker, if you remember, just before we went for recess, the Attorney General came on the floor of Parliament and said verification for Acholi sub-region is already finished. Even Lao sub-region is already finished, Teso is finished. Now today, the Deputy Attorney General is coming on the floor of Parliament to tell us the verification is still taking place now. Now when you're talking about the Acholi sub-region, I don't even know how many times the verification of this going on. I wonder the kind of verification they are talking about. And then, if anything, the people who have been coming many times for verification, many have died. They have opened accounts many times. And up to now, the people are still asking what is the problem. I mean, I don't want the government to come on the floor of Parliament to keep telling us verification is taking place. Where is the money? And then how come you are talking about verification today when before the election period you are talking about people are getting money in the next week? Now, this issue of payment for livestock in the Acholi sub-region has been used many times at the time of campaign. When it is coming to a campaign period, then they are told you are going to be paid to vote. After voting, again they start another verification. Now, something that bothers me a lot is that, okay.
I thought Lango sub-region is going to speak. Honorable Ojara.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The information I would like to provide is that just as the Honorable Call is putting, Right Honorable Speaker, in 2015, on the 30th of June, the President issued a directive that Acholi, Lao, Teso be compensated before end of December that year. And money was earmarked. The ministers responsible were all there. Finance, constitutional affairs, and all of them were available. Right Honorable Speaker, it is quite disturbing that every time our people are being lied, we have continued to lose elders. I'll give you an example. An elder, a senior citizen who served in very high position in government, one time called me and said, Honorable Mapenduzi, I am going to die simply because I have not received my money and I cannot afford treatment I'm supposed to be taken for major operations. 3 days later, he died. The late A.K. Banya. We have continued to lose people. And every time we are being lied.
That is a strong statement.
Right
Honorable Mapendusi, that's a strong statement. Being lied. And it is not the lie that killed the old man.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I apologize, but I think that is the best way to express our level of frustration and how our people have continued to suffer when every time promises are made, even when the president issues directive, people don't listen. I'm sure even this report, we will have another report. I believe in you, Honorable Speaker, that you will make a difference so that next time we don't get the same report. It's a song.
The next report we are going to ask for is a report of payment. That is the report we are going to ask for.
Madam Speaker, I would like to really applaud you for talking about the next report coming from the Attorney General office should be about the people who have been paid. I therefore request now that before we talk about the verification, what about the 16,000 claimants who have been verified already? Why don't you talk about paying the people who are verified now instead of waiting for another verification taking place? Because if anything, what is it?
Can you finish?
Madam Speaker, I'm sorry.
Can you finish?
I respect the Deputy Attorney General, but the way he's behaving today, I'm
It is
surprised.
actually because I've given you a lot of liberty in the microphone.
Madam, I want to give additional statement, actually information. Madam, I remember by that time they were conducting verification. I was the resident district commissioner. And the government has budgeted for that money to pay those who were already verified. But I'm getting another statement from the Attorney General today, bringing the issues of LRA. So if the issues of LRA compensation is coming, then we need more information because we have people who have been affected in various ways. We have the landmine survivors. Some of them have lost their arms. Some of them have lost their legs. Then again, we have some people whose lips were cut, whose ears were cut. They should also be included. Should not be now only livestock. I beg to submit.
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you for this opportunity. I stood up about 3 times on procedural matter for a reason. But now that you've given me the chance, let me bring this out. The Attorney General in his report, while presenting, made a presentation with the heading of LRA war compensation. And yet, even in the content of his presentation, he traces back this compensation from a court proceedings. That was in Gulu High Court. The origin of the compensation, the cattle compensation of the Acholi people, which is being talked about, which is at high advanced stages, Madam Speaker, originated from the NRA war, not LRA. Record must be put straight. And on that matter, the presentation by the Attorney General to me, even proceeding to debate this report, we may be proceeding not rightly. So the origin of this compensation, cattle compensation, started way back during the loss that a number of claimants got in 1986, 1989. That even they had commitments that were some of them in writing. They went to court. Government opted to settle the matter out of court. That is how they ended up into compensating these people. Now, Madam Speaker, today, the Attorney General is supposed to present a report on LRA war compensation. I want to be clarified by the Attorney General. Are we handling these two together as one, or these are two different things? It must be put clear. Madam Speaker, on the LRA war compensation, a number of times we have talked in this House, a number of petitions were brought in the previous Parliament on the LRA war compensation. Government's response has always been there was no legal framework that could guide them better on handling compensations of war. And in 2019, Madam Speaker, government of Uganda passed the National Transitional Justice Policy, which takes care of all this now. I want to be clarified by Attorney General. The compensation of the LRA war can be well taken care of under the National Transitional Justice Policy. So to me, Madam Speaker, I look at two things, not one. The cattle compensation that originated from the court directive, which stands alone, and the LRA war compensation. I beg to submit, Madam Speaker.
This is actually a very good development.
One, to answer,
NRA versus LRA.
there are two issues, Right Honorable. The issue raised by my senior colleague, Akol.
First answer what Catherine has raised. First answer, it was a procedural matter.
I let you rule.
Pardon?
Okay. The claims we are compensating are livestock claims arising from war, regardless of who perpetrated it.
First, check your statement. Check your heading of your.
Okay, I do
report.
appreciate the issue raised by Catherine Omoro. It has redirected, and that is a mistake.
Was
that should
it
be
a typo?
corrected. So it is not only LRA. Because in some, for example, if you go to Karamoja sub-region, in some of those areas there may not have been war as such, but there was cattle that had been placed under the army was protecting. We call them protected villages. So where they lost those animals, the government has still pledged to pay. So it's not just LRA.
You see, what Catherine is raising is in your status report. You're talking about the LRA, not NRA. What she thought you'd have done is to combine either first discuss about NRA or combine both of them. So which one are you handling? Anya is just fearing to talk, but she's one of the affected persons.
We are combining all.
Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Procedure.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Akol.
Madam Speaker, I think the best we can do for Attorney General is make sure that he should go back and come back on the floor of Parliament. Because he doesn't even understand the claim he's talking about now. Because in real sense, the case which was in court was the NRA compensation, not LRA. The LRA registration took place by the current Secretary General of NRM, who registered the LRA victims. And that has never, they have never talked about the compensation. If he's combining the two, then he has to go back and sit to his chamber, in his chamber, and come back with another statement. Because this one is not covering the registration for the LRA victims and the people to be compensated.
You see,
Madam Speaker,
by me making an order that sit with the MPs from respective sub-regions, it was with a reason. You would have understood what is in a particular region. Now, you did not appreciate why I said that. And now you're going back to sit with those regional MPs and agree on what is coming from each sub-region. Next item.
Procedure, Madam Speaker.
You're going back, have a meeting. I want a report in the next 2 weeks.
Procedure.
Next item.
Item 3.3, statement on the merger of ministries, departments, and agencies.
Right Honourable Speaker and honourable members, this is a progress report on the implementation of the rationalization of government agencies and public expenditure, in others, the merger. Right Honourable Speaker, Cabinet on the 22nd of February 2021 took a decision to merge, to mainstream and rationalize government agencies, commissions, authorities, and public expenditure to facilitate efficient and effective service delivery. In order to implement this decision, Cabinet approved an implementation roadmap for the implementation process.
Procedure, Madam Speaker. Procedure, Madam Speaker.
Yes, procedure.
Madam Speaker, the Minister is reading a very important statement. I would happy, I don't know whether he has given us the copies, but we have not seen the copies because we needed to know those institutions. I don't know even whether you, the Speaker, has gotten a list of those institutions that are due to be merged on what the State Minister is reading. Now, we would be happy if procedurally would provide us with the copies of the list of the institutions that government intends to merge, or the ones which have already been merged, because we have heard some have already been merged. So, Honourable Minister, Madam Speaker, with the mission, whether it's procedural right for him to proceed when we don't have those institutions that are intended to be merged. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Right Honourable Speaker, my office submitted...
Can I have a copy of your report?
Right Honourable Speaker, my office submitted a copy of this report to the office of the clerk. And it was my belief, honest belief, that this copy of the report, as usual, would be uploaded on our iPads. And a quick consultation here with the clerk.
What the Honourable Member of Parliament is asking is the name of the institutions that are supposed to be merged, the names of the MDAs, which MDA is supposed to be merged with which one. That's what he's asking, the list. Is it there in your statement?
Yes, Right Honourable Speaker, it's there in the statement.
It's on page what?
It's in Annex 1, Right Honourable Speaker.
Speaker, is it the rationalization? Yes, if it is...
That's the rationalization, Right Honourable Speaker.
Yes, then the annex is not there.
Honourable Minister, what is downloaded is just your statement, but the attachment of the list is not there. That's why we are asking that can we be privy to the list? I think you didn't give them the list to be attached to the statement.
Because if we are saying there are 157 government agencies which are supposed to be reviewed under this rationalization of government agencies, which agencies are those? We need to know them.
Speaker, it's unfortunate that the annex was not uploaded. I would request, Right Honourable Speaker.
Can we go to the next item as you get us that list?
Precisely.
Because we can't debate in speculation.
Item 3.4, statement on the general overview of the performance of UMEME.
Honorable Minister of Energy,
Right Honorable Prime Minister. No, sorry. I'm correcting myself.
Dr. Kasai?
Yes?
Yes, I am not a Prime Minister. Me, I was voted by this House. I wasn't appointed.
I'm sorry, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm very sorry, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members of this House, a question was raised on the update of Umeme performance. And I'm going to present a report on the performance of Umeme Limited during the concession period, which runs from 2005 to 2020. It's quite a long report. I'll give a summary, and I request I'll lay it on the table for study, and then we can consider it on a later date, because the period is long. 2005 to 2020. That's quite a long time. A review of the performance of Umeme Limited in the electricity subsector in the previous 16 years has been done using the key performance parameters agreed at the time of the concession, namely investments, customer connections, reduction of distribution losses, days lag, collection of targets, and well as realized operational costs, which are distribution, operation, maintenance costs. The summary of the performance over the 16 years period is presented in the subsequent chapters. And this is going to be a long presentation. I request I lay this paper on the table, because it's 16 years report.
Which report are you reading? Is it a statement to parliamentary on failure by Umeme to supply and install Yaka meters?
No.
To some clients?
No, that's another one. This one is a statement to parliamentary on the general overview of the performance of Umeme. You don't have it. It is not on other paper.
Madam Speaker, what we have is just 4 pages. It's not as long as you are expressing. So may we have that long statement? Because this one would not take a lot of time. Thank you.
Okay. It is this one. This is the 6 pages, so I can go over it.
Madam Speaker. Procedure, Madam Speaker.
Order.
Madam Speaker, procedure.
Yes, Honorable Santa.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, according to the presentation of the Minister, the statement is very long. And what we have here is only 4 pages. And Madam Speaker, in addition to that, the order paper talks about general overview of the performance of Umeme. And when you look at the statement, Madam Speaker,
The introductory part talks about an issue raised by Honorable Lutamaguze, a concern over failure by UMEME to supply and install Yaka meters to some clients across the country, and the urgent need for government to come up with an explanation on the matter. So, Madam Speaker, are we proceeding right when what we have has only 4 pages, and also the introductory part of the minister's statement is talking about issues raised by Honorable Lutamaguze? Are we proceeding well, Madam Speaker?
Honorable Minister, can you read this report as it is? I hope we have the same report.
Right, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Dr. Kefa.
Madam Speaker, I think there is a mix-up. There is a whole issue of the overview of performance of UMEME, which is completely different matter.
It's not on the other paper.
Yeah, that's right. What we're expecting this evening is why there was a failure on the Yaka meters, an issue raised by Honorable Lutamaguze. And I don't really understand the context of this, how the minister is coming in with this report. So I think procedurally we should go to the question raised by Honorable Lutamaguze, and I think he can come back later with this report.
No, it is there.
Excuse Madam Speaker, further procedure. Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, what we expect from the Honourable Minister, I remember last time members raised concerns about UMEME. Others were raising the concerns about the Yaka meters. Other members of Parliament were raising concerns about the polls. Other members were raising the matters about UMEME being very expensive. And we from northern Uganda, we raised concerns about UMEME being irregular. In a month, we may have UMEME constantly for less than 14 days. In other days, we have load sheddings. So we expect Honourable Minister to come up and answer the queries of Honourable members. It's not a matter of going into so detail as he claims. He claims he has around 200 pages of the report. We are not in for that. Let him respond to queries raised by honourable members. And that is what is in the other paper. The other paper says the general overview of the performance of UMEME. So let him be brief and tell and answer the queries of honourable members.
Order, Madam Speaker.
Procedure, Honourable Speaker. As the government tries to establish whether it is a round or long fail, and that the Minister of Energy is trying to establish the meaning of a statement, I temporarily take over to advise the Minister. Right, Honourable Speaker, why we expend a lot of time trying to do business of the House? Right, Honourable Speaker, with your indulgence. You know, part of the complaint by members that some of these ministers hardly attend plenary. And when issues are captured for them, even those who capture them actually capture them upside down. Members from both sides of the House rose and asked questions relating to essentially 3 issues. And they were all about UMEME: the tariffs, the intermittent distribution, and the failure to do connections. You expect a prudent minister to rise in very simple terms and language without having to go into semantics, to speak to the House about these issues. Honourable Minister, if you are ready, I resume my seat. If you are not ready, I take over and I advise the House.
Honourable Minister.
Honourable Speaker.
Honourable Minister, withdraw your submission and I give you 1 week to come back to present.
Yeah. Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker. To avoid any...
I have said...
Right Honourable Speaker. To avoid any confusion after that 1 week, I think the Minister now must be very clear on what he's supposed to bring after that 1 week. I hope you have got it. I think the Speaker has been kind enough to give you time. I think retreat tactfully, come back 1 week. Come back 1 week, well organized. That is much better.
So, Minister, please present after 1 week.
Most obliged, but there were 3 questions and I had actually prepared 3 different papers.
We've given you 1 week. Go and organize yourself.
Most obliged.
Madam Speaker, on procedure.
Hey, Patrick.
On procedure, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I think as the Minister returns, I think he should return to answer the questions of the members, not to give us an overview on the performance of Umeme.
There was a question of Honorable Lutamaguzi.
And very many other members, Honorable Speaker.
A number of them raised issues on
so
Umeme.
he should return to answer those questions. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
But procedure, Madam Speaker. But the report on answering Honorable Tamaguzi's question is ready. Madam Speaker, you had guided that actually the Minister proceeds and presents that. Then he can come back to us with the other issues which have not been...
The Speaker has ruled. Let him come after 1 week.
1 week, we'll get a response on individual members of Parliament's questions, starting with the one of Honorable Lutamaguzi. Next.
Item 4, responses by ministers to urgent questions. Roman number 1. On the Blooming Road in Lamu Sub-region.
Remember, your issue is pending and is a hot one. It will be discussed tomorrow.
Most obliged, Right Honourable Speaker. I'm reliably informed that actually the annexes are actually being uploaded on members' iPads. We shall be ready, Right Honourable Speaker, to discuss this issue tomorrow. Thank you.
Next response from Honorable Minister of Relief, Disaster and Preparedness and Refugees.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I stand to respond to the issues raised by members. And the particular issue here was on the alarming drought in the Lango sub-region and attendant threats of floods, food security raised by Honourable Omar Paul, MP, Otuke County. Right Honourable Speaker, I would also request to respond to the Kayunga issue of Honourable the Member of Parliament from, because they have 2 issues on the order paper pertaining the same. So I'll also submit the report and the other issues. Honorable Speaker, the issue raised by the Honorable Member Omara. Honorable members, you are aware that several parts of the country are currently experiencing a dry spell. The northern Uganda, western, eastern, West Nile, and central parts of the country are experiencing a dry spell, resulting into reduced soil moisture, causing a high degree of damage on cropland, pasture, and also the livelihoods. Heavy rainfalls caused floods on landslides on northern, eastern, and western part of the country, resulting to moderate crop damage and displacement of persons. Waterlogging resulting from the rising water levels in Lake Victoria, Lake Albert, and Lake Victoria, resulting into rotting of foodstuff in the gardens and inability of the dry crops harvested, leading to huge post-harvest losses. Right Honorable Speaker and members, we are requesting for resources to support the provision of these food relief items to all these affected communities. And last week we had a meeting with the Minister of Finance, and they promised to give us the money before the end of this week, which we are also waiting for the releases to be sure we'll be able to respond to most of these requests from the members. We have also been closely monitoring the regions, and there are parts of the country using existing early warning systems at the moment. We have also been coordinating security to undertake the mitigation measures. Right Honorable Speaker, on the directive that you gave me about Kayunga, we came up with a report which was uploaded yesterday. I'm going to lay it on table. Right Honorable Prime Minister, I also promised on that day to bring the delivery notes that show how much food items and non-food items were delivered to Kayunga district.
What is the report about?
The report on assessment of the living conditions of the over 4,000 households affected by floods and droughts in Bale County, Kayunga district, and the non-responsiveness of relevant government agencies. Office of the Prime Minister, and that was compiled by me and my team. It is on the iPads.
Okay.
I beg to lay it on table.
Right.
Thank you. I remember that same day, Madam Speaker, I had promised the House I was going to bring the delivery notes from Kayunga for the items of food and non-food items delivered to Kayunga, just to prove that the Office of the Prime Minister through disaster preparedness has been responding to the issues of floods of
was it Kayunga in general or that area where there were 4,000 people?
It is this particular, it's general, but there are these two sub-counties in Bale County, Kayunga district, which were most affected.
Okay.
Yes, Madam. So I beg to lay the delivery notes as well.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
On the issues of the Afghanistan, we shall come here with a proper report, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Minister of Security.
Right Honorable, the Minister of Security got an emergency. He won't be here today. We request that he will be coming over very soon. Thank you. I hope the Right Honorable Speaker has heard me.
Madam Speaker, that is not audible enough. I don't know whether he's not telling the truth or is trying to hide something. Could you please try to be audible, Honorable Tayewa?
Right Honorable, I'm fasting, so that's why I had issues, but the Honorable Minister of Security will be here next week to answer. Thank you, Right Honorable.
Thank you. Minister of Tourism.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. This is a report arising out of your directive to go into the ground and do some fact-finding about issues raised by members of Parliament. Right Honourable Speaker, on the 28th, we moved with the, basing on the question he asked on the destruction of livelihoods, property and life in Lakang Sub-County, Amuro District by marauding elephants and buffaloes from Action Falls National Game Park. These were raised by Honorable Olanya. Right Honorable Speaker, in consultation, we held a meeting with the district leadership of Amuru, who shared a comprehensive report about the human-wildlife conflict in Amuru. We moved to Lakang Sub-County, where we met the sub-county leadership, village chairpersons, and the affected community members. We visited the family of the victim, who was attacked and killed by an elephant, with the UWA team to support the family of the deceased, and right now the process is ongoing. We're also in consultation with the Ministry of Disaster, who lost a number of their food crops to elephants. Right Honourable Speaker, we also agreed with UWA to visit some of the patients that had gotten injured because of elephant attacks. On the 27th, Right Honourable Speaker, resulting from a question raised on the invasion of areas of Chankende, Nyamasha sub-counties by marauding wildlife and the attendant destruction of livelihoods raised by Honourable Ngope Klinos, we visited, we held meetings with the district leadership. We held field visits starting with the Kibiama village in Kugumba sub-county, Chibanda South constituency, led by Honourable Kahonde Helen and Honourable Karugawa Jacob. We assessed the damage caused by the elephants in these areas. Further, we still moved with Honourable Ongopek to the areas of Chankende and held meetings with the leadership. Also visited Kichwabjingo sub-county, where we met with the local leadership and interacted with the communities. A number of issues were raised, and of course, like the general one, still liaising with the Ministry of Disaster to see that some relief is brought in to help those that lost crops to elephants. We also agreed on the electric fencing, that we shall extend the distance of fencing around Action Falls National Park. We also agreed to extend the excavation of trenches along the national parks in order to deter elephants from crossing into communities. On some issues of recruitment, I think who has come up with a directive, the board, that going forward, recruitment priority will mainly be given to communities neighboring protected areas before the others are, starting with the next recruitment. On the issue raised by the MP from Namayingo about crocodile attacks, of course, UWA is doing what we can. Right Honourable Speaker, we had a few challenges and we didn't move there in time, but we are liaising with the MPs to see that we move there and see what we can do with the communities. On the discovery of the tunnels in Komolo, Right Honourable Speaker and members, issues raised by Honourable Issa Matabraham.
Before you go to the tunnel, why haven't you put the fence in these conservation areas to avoid the animals from interacting with the people?
Right Honourable Speaker, on the issue of the electric fencing raised by my colleague from Kasesa as well, of course it's a challenge because of the financing constraint. So far, we have fenced 18 kilometers. Operational electric fence has been established in Sub-County and Waya District and Kamadi Sub-County Yam District to prevent elephants. Another big bomb was from crossing into the park. Another 12 kilometers are under construction. Government will continue to provide resources to UWA on an annual basis. But like I said, Madam Speaker, because of the expense, government can only make around 10 kilometers of electric fence per financial year. So the financing is a constraint. But of course, like my colleague, the minister said, I think there are some funds available, and we shall see how we expand onto the fencing.
And you're saying that the process of giving these affected areas food and other items is ongoing.
Yes, in consultation with the Ministry of Relief. I think they also have challenges, but they say that in time they'll be getting some funding, and we're engaging them.
And once you deliver this, I want you to come and lay on table the delivery note that you deliver like the minister was doing. There is a tendency of ministers coming to make statements here, and they walk away with it.
We shall, Right Honourable Speaker, but like I said,
Yes.
it's mainly the Ministry of Relief that will give us, will help us with.
Clarification, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In 2012, the staff of Uganda Wildlife Authority dumped a number of baboons and chimpanzees in Kyesiga Ward in villages of Bubale, Bulemwa, Mwendante, and Buhiga. And in the same year, the chimpanzees attacked and severely injured a 3-year-old girl. In 2014, the same chimpanzees attacked and injured a 4-year-old girl. Madam Speaker, in 2018, in May this year, a chimpanzee attacked and badly injured a 1.5-year-old girl, a daughter to a one Mbabazi Godfrey, and unfortunately, the baby lost her life, Madam Speaker. These chimpanzees were dumped in a settlement place for human beings where it is not even a gazette for these wild animals, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I pray that through this honorable House, that government do regazette chimpanzees, the baboons, and those wild animals which are supposed to go into game reserves back in game reserves, Madam Speaker. I also pray that, Madam Speaker, that government do compassionate the families of those victims who have suffered attacks of these wild animals, but also those ones who have lost the lives of their loved ones. Madam Speaker, before me, I beg to lay, Madam Speaker, a photo of a 1.5-year-old baby who died and was attacked by a chimpanzee in Bulemwa and Kyesiga Ward, but also pray that Minister of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities do compassionate.
Honorable Nancy, I will want the minister to go and confirm on ground, and then you relay after you've come back from the ground with him.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Clarification, Madam
Just for your information, I was even discussing with her yesterday, and we agreed that we should come up with a program and see how we help her, but we've been in touch.
You discussed with the Honorable Nancy, not with her.
With the Honorable Nyakato.
Yes.
Clarification.
Honorable Alum.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, Oyam District, specifically the sub-counties of Kamdini, Aber, Miene, Loro have really been greatly affected by the wildlife. Madam Speaker, I've stood on this floor of Parliament very many times talking about the same issue. I want to thank government that when I raised the issue here, they started fencing up to 3 kilometers, Madam Speaker. But they stopped at only 3 kilometers out of 10, which was supposed to give us protection against these wild animals. Madam Speaker, there are so many people who have lost their lives and government have not compensated them. Now, I would like to know from the Honorable Minister in charge of this docket that when are you going to complete the remaining kilometers? Right now, as I talk, Madam Speaker, very many crops are being destroyed, and Uganda Wildlife Authority cannot do anything. We have not seen any compensation. So, Honorable Minister, when are you coming to Yam District to address these people? When shall we see you on the ground? I remember interacting with you, but maybe I would like to get an assurance of the compensation, of the fencing, and we see how this problem can be solved once and for all. I thank you, Madam.
The minister had already talked about money. They don't have money. So you have to choose between bringing a request for money in this house or losing voters outside there.
Clarification, right, Honorable
So you
Speaker.
need to have a choice. We need our people alive. We need their crops alive. So the best thing you can do is to ask this house to give you money for fencing. Because you cannot continue coming here lamenting no money, and yet we are losing lives. All these people who are standing are coming from those wildlife areas, and the issue is the same. So how are you going to, every time you're coming here, you're responding to one? If I was you and if I was a minister, I would take time and move from one area to the other to make sure that you get the problems that are affecting those people.
Information, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Information to the Honorable Minister and the House. I come from the tourism fraternity, which has just sent me a message when they saw the minister on the floor of Parliament. We thank you very much for the electric fence, but would you please involve the tour operators in this country, whom I am one of them, I do tourism, so that they will advise the ministry, because one of the reasons for electric fencing in Chambura, Queen Elizabeth National Park, even our tourists themselves, they get interfered with. For several times they have complained to us as tour operators in this country. So could you please involve the tour operators in this country? They will be very, very helpful in that. Thank you very much.
Information.
Honorable Babiko, then.
Charlie.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank my brother, the Honorable Minister, for the submission. But Right Honorable Speaker, we have been affected as people of Adjumani, specifically Arinyapisabu County, from 2013 to date. We have been following only one promise. We lost 3 people, and UWA went and made commitment. Now the families of the deceased are blaming us as the leaders for not following. And we have done our best. Therefore, Right Honorable Speaker, as I agree totally with you and support you in the decision you have put forward, I request that the minister and the ministry takes initiative to visit these families, because now they feel we are betrayed, we have betrayed them, and as politicians, it affects us also politically. Therefore, I request that, Honorable Minister, you get to Adjumani and we go and visit those families so that you listen from them. Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Member to this House, some additional information with regards to my constituency. We have an appalling situation in Busilo South. You know, it has an island, and that island has several other sub-islands. And along the several sub-islands, we have these aquatic mammals that do attack people, but I'm not sure if they are hippos or drones, because they attack people, they kill them, and they just leave them there. So I'm kindly requesting that you also pay a visit in my constituency. Thank you so very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minister, can we first hear from you? It is the same thing, you're in the field with the minister.
Information.
You were in the field with him.
Indeed, we were in the field with my brother, Honorable Anya, and at least for him, a number of issues we already handling. So, thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, especially for the guidance and the advice. And I want to assure colleagues that I also come from a community that neighbors a game park, game reserve, and I share the challenges with you. And like you guided, the challenge has been mainly financing, especially in terms of compensation, because currently UWA is not bringing in any money because they are not tourists
touring in these areas because of COVID. So it's a big challenge. All I ask, we are going to move to all your areas, come up with a good report, come before you, and see if you can fund us. Because the electric fence was a directive by, and it has been tested, it works. The challenge is the financing to have it run in this community. So we shall come back to you, Right Honorable Speaker, to this House for financial support. Thank you.
Information.
Yes, well, Madam, so much. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
John, your neighbor first.
I thought I'm the one, Madam.
Next is you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
No, they say. Listen, Madam Speaker, I'm making a maiden statement and maiden speech in this regard, but particularly because the matter being raised is of tourism, and I'm a tourism professional. Just to tell the House, I represent Africa to the World Executive Board on matters of tourism and social responsibility in regard to that sector. And I'm on the Committee of Tourism, Trade and Industry. And yesterday, we had the Minister...
For Hansard paper, answered...
Pardon?
For Hansard, mention your name.
By the Member of Parliament, Kabweri constituency. Highest foreign income in this. So your guidance, Right Honorable Speaker, is the most correct one. Colleagues, we shall cry, but crocodiles shall continue to kill our people. Wild animals, elephants, lions shall continue to kill our people. That whatever. We should also prioritize for tourism so that we do massive fencing. And that one, it is only this Parliament that can do so, to ensure that there is massive fencing and trenching for those areas of elephants, but massive fencing areas where there is hippos, where there are lions. This is done almost on a daily basis. Other cases are not reported. Other cases are not reported. But we have nothing to do apart from government coming up with a priority that this year we earmark this budget purposely for fencing of national parks. Because even without the fencing of wild animals, you heard what happens in Elgon. There they may not be wild animals, but the people who come inside the park, maybe to get firewood, can be shot at, because even the workers in Ua, many of them have been killed by poachers. And in iteration, these people end up just shooting the wananchi. We think your guidance is the most important. Minister of Tourism should come back here, but we should support to ensure that we prioritize in the manner that is necessary for these for government or for Minister of Tourism to aid UWA to fence the entire.
Is there anything new that anybody is bringing up? Rastaman.
Yes, thank you so much, Jables. I want to thank you, Madam Speaker, again, many thanks. We have heard from the negative point of view of these animals. I speak for the baboons of Busitema in both Bugiri and Busia